Welcome back to Find the Juice. This is Teddy Slugger, and this week we're going to talk about what we were going to talk about last week since there's not really a lot going on this week. And that's a couple of contract extensions. And since we couldn't get a video out last week, we're going to do two pimp jobs of the week. So let's get into it. First, we're going to talk about the Vladmir Guerrero contract extension, which is 14 years, $500 million, which is an average annual income of $35.7 million a year. On top of that, he gets a full no trade clause, which means the Toronto Blue Jays can't trade him anywhere they want. If they try to trade him to Miami, he could say, no, I don't want to go there at any time in the next 14 years. He also gets a $325 signing bonus, which will be spread out across the entire 14 years. So, what does that mean for the Toronto Blue Jays right now? Well, the Toronto Blue Jays are only $900,000 below the luxury cap threshold. They're sitting on big contracts for George Springer through 2026, Kevin Gossman through 2026, Jose Barrios through 2028, Andre Jimenez through 2029. A lot of their money is tied up in old or average players. I expect them to move off of some of those long and big contracts to extend Bo Bichette and build around Vlad and Bo. They cleared nearly $100 million off the books at the end of the year. They need to get younger, cheaper, better in the pitching staff while rounding out that lineup with reliable bats. Having a payroll of just under $241 million and not performing is unacceptable. Look for Toronto to try to move on from Kevin Gossman this season as he still has $46 million owed to him over the next two seasons. I also think they're going to let Chris Bassett and Max Scherzer walk at the end of the year. And we may have to wait until next season to see what they do with George Springer, who's owed $48 million over the next two seasons. If Springer can come out and look reliable next season, then he could be moved to a team looking to win the division, win a wild card spot, or even make it to the World Series. And he would look even more attractive because of his expiring contract. The problem is Toronto's return will be even worse as he would be looked at as a rental piece. Toronto needs Springer to stay healthy and put together some solid weeks and months this season to make his contract look worth it for a team trying to improve so they can get anything of value back to continue to build for the near future. So, what does this mean for the future of the Toronto Blue Jays? The good is that if Toronto decides to extend Bo Bichette, then they will have four somewhat reliable top of the order or middle of the order bats on the roster until 2029 with Vlad, Bo, Jimenez, and Anthony Santander. They also have some solid talent coming up from the minor leagues. Look for Relvis Martinez, the 10th ranked second base prospect, to slide in at third base, his secondary position. He projects to be a big power bat. Jonathan Clase, who was acquired last season from the Seattle Mariners in exchange for relief pitcher Yimi Garcia, was looked at as a good prospect. His stock has dropped since being called up to the majors last season as he lacks even average fielding ability in the outfield and lost his ability to get on base, which he exhibited in the minor league. He has burner speed, but that's a non-factor when 50% of the balls he put in play were fly balls. If Clase can learn how to be more of a line drive hitter and get back to getting on base despite his bad batting average, he could work well at the top of that lineup with his speed, setting up Bo and Vlad and Santander to drive in runs. Clase has a good start of the 2025 season in AAA, hitting .474 with 5 stolen bases already. The area I'm most excited for this team is pitching. First, they have Trey Savage, who projects to have a great fastball, great slider, and a great splitter. Those two breaking balls tunnel very well off of the fastball to go along with his above average curveball. They also have young pitching prospect Ricky Tiedemann, who projects to have an insane fastball, slider, and changeup. Tiedemann has had a lot of injury setbacks so far in his career, including Tommy John surgery in July of 2024, and he's projected to miss most of, if not all, of 2025. So let's hope he can bounce back, make it to the show, and live up to that potential. Let me know in the comments below what you think the Toronto Blue Jays should do. Should they keep spending money, hold on to George Springer, hold on to Kevin Gossman, and go for that division right now? Or do you think they should let these overpaid guys go and build completely around Vlad and Bo? And now we have this week's first pimp job of the week. This one comes from Philadelphia. We have the bases loaded with Trey Turner on third, Bryce Harper on second, Max Kepler at first. We have Alex Vesia on the mound facing Nick Castellanos. Castellanos hits that ball 389 feet in the pouring rain on the defending champions Los Angeles Dodgers to take a 6-2 lead in the third inning. And all I could think or wonder was, I wonder if Dave Roberts went to the ump and asked if he could defer those runs across the rest of the week. Next, we're going to talk about another contract extension for my boy, the big dumper, Cal Raleigh. He got 6 years, $105 million with a $20 million vesting player option in 2031. He also gets a full no trade clause like Vlad did. So what does this mean for the Mariners right now? It means they just bypassed Cal Raleigh's final 2 years of salary arbitration, and they just bought out his first 3 years of free agency. They locked up a top 5 catcher, to me, number one in all of Major League Baseball. Cal is an insanely well-rounded catcher. He is top 75th percentile in all of baseball in fielding, slugging, exit velocity, barrel rate, hard hit rate, bat speed, walk rate, opponent caught stealing rate, and framing in 2024. So what does Seattle do from here to continue building on this lineup? I'm a believer in the law of averages. Mitch Garver, Randy Rosarena, Jorge Polanco, and Julio Rodriguez all had the worst seasons of their entire career. Law of averages say these guys should bounce back. We already saw the start of it last season, where Seattle ranked 12th in runs scored in the second half of the season, while in the first half of the season they were 27th in runs scored. We're seeing it already out of Jorge Polanco, who's hitting around 400, and we're seeing glimpses of it out of Randy Arozarena, whose majority of hits have been for extra bases. And let's not forget the boy, the topic boy, Cal Raleigh, who got a torpedo bat and hit a home run every game of the Texas Rangers series. And Mitch Garver is going into a full platoon role where he's only going to see left-handed pitching, a handedness of pitcher he has destroyed his entire career. All 4 guys mentioned have a hard hit rate over 40%, with Julio Rodriguez leading them with a 52% hard hit rate this season. Hard hit rate and exit velocity typically correlates to productivity, so the runs are going to come. But what does it mean for the future? In particular, one prospect. And that prospect is one of the top prospects in baseball, Harry Ford. Well, Seattle has been trying to add positional flexibility to Harry Ford over the last couple seasons, trying him out in the outfield. He projects to be a well-rounded prospect, good at the plate, good in the field, with good speed. But it will be interesting to see if Seattle now tries to package Harry Ford with Luis Castillo, a player they are trying to trade this offseason for another bat. I would look for that bat, if it does happen, to be at third base or even shortstop, trying to replace J.P. Crawford, whose offensive struggles seem to have carried over from 2024 into 2025. Another question this raises is, has Seattle purposely not been spending money to look to extend Cal, George Kirby, Logan Gilbert, Bryce Miller, and Brian Wu? Do they think that these young prospects of Ryan Bliss, Lazaro Montes, Cole Emerson, and Cole Young are enough to elevate this offense in the next few years to make Julio Rodriguez feel like it's worth opting into his player options from 2030 to 2032, as JP Crawford, Jorge Polanco, and Mitch Garver's contracts are all about to end, and Randy Arozarena is going into his final year of salary arbitration this offseason. Speaking of the right now and the law of averages, I've seen quite a few people saying the Texas Rangers offense would turn it around this season. Texas finished last season 18th in runs scored and 23rd in WOBA. WOBA is a stat that attempts to credit a hitter for each outcome instead of treating all times on base equally, and is also looked at as one of the most important stats in all of baseball. Looking at WOBA, only Marcus Semien and Adolis Garcia will be positive regression candidates this season, whereas Corey Seager was around his career averages last season. So what tells me that the Rangers offense is going to be better this season besides creating narratives just based off player name value? People will say they'll improve because they'll be healthy. Yet, they forget Corey Seager misses a lot of games typically. They also forget Marcus Semien in 2023 and 2022 highly outperformed his career averages. And we don't even know what these young guys are going to be able to do over the course of an entire season. These projections of mine seem to be panning out as the Rangers are currently sitting 28th in baseball in runs scored out of a possible 30 teams. They're also 24th in WOBA. The Texas Rangers recently came to Seattle, the team I've been saying the law of averages favor the most in baseball this season. Seattle outscored Texas 19-6 in that series. Seattle currently has 6 players in the top 100 players in all of baseball in hard hit rate, and that's with saying Jacob deGrom, Tariq Skubal, Casey Mize, a possibly rejuvenated Robbie Ray, Hunter Brown, and the Houston Astros bullpen, which was the best in baseball at the time, and Nathan Eovaldi. Look for Seattle's offensive numbers to continue to improve as the season goes on, and the pitching they face gets a little easier night tonight. Let us know in the comments below if you have another team that you think the law of averages favor this season and we should expect a turnaround from. Finally, here comes the second pimp job of the week. This time is Fernando Tatis Jr. of the San Diego Padres. We knew it was only a matter of time until Tatis did this. Tatis just turns on and destroys a fastball, and he just watches that thing fly. He is pumped, rounding the bases, fire coming out of the scoreboard, putting that little exclamation point on it, and look at this beautiful bat flip, baby. Everyone, I love Pimp Job of the Week. There's nothing better in baseball than a bat flip and a pimp job, and that's coming from an old head. And I just want to say thanks for watching. Let us know in the comments below if there's any news or upcoming series that you want us to cover. Stay tuned this week as we will break down the second round of the NBA play-ins. Peace.